It's been a little while since we discussed MiSTer FPGA on my channel, but today that is going to change. We have an updated method and way of getting everything set up, and a lot of people are now just getting into MiSTer FPGA, so I wanted to do this updated tutorial getting everything ready to go. So if you're new to MiSTer, this may be the video for you to get set up. If you're just curious what MiSTer is, well, essentially, it's an FPGA community-driven project that allows us to play our retro consoles and computers and arcade hardware. Now, you may be saying, if you don't understand what this is, well, I can already do that via emulation through a Raspberry Pi, my PC, that kind of thing. And while that is true, and those are all excellent options that I've covered plenty of in the past, this is just another option. FPGA implementation of these consoles and computers is going to be a little bit different. There's going to be some benefits to this. Now, with software emulation, that's essentially what we're doing. We're emulating software. And I'm not trying to get into any debate on any of this kind of stuff because there's plenty of it out there. But with FPGA implementations, essentially we're simulating the hardware. The FPGA will reprogram itself to actually be that hardware in a sense, right? And you're going to have more, levels of accuracy with that kind of thing. Tons of different, benefits to it. It's going to be similar to playing your retro games on an analog console like the Super NT Mega SG, the NT Mini Noir, that kind of thing. If you want that FPGA goodness with your retro games and you don't care about cartridges, this is definitely an excellent option for you. So moving on, what we want to do is get our SD card set up for MiSTer. Now, MiSTer, the main thing we need, if you're new to this, is going to be the Thoracic DE10 Nano FPGA development board. I'll put a link in the description down below. Currently, the price has gone up a bit on those boards, but I still think it's worthwhile. Now, there are a few other optional pieces to the MiSTer project. You may want to get an I/O board. The SD RAM is definitely a must, in my opinion, and a USB hub. That's to get the most out of this, but essentially to get started, you just need the DE10 Nano. But like I said, to get the most out of it, you may want to look into those other parts because they do have their benefits. And I do welcome any comments, or suggestions concerning what else you need help with. What other future videos you want to see me do as far as MiSTer goes, as far as tutorials, there's something you need help with. Do you want me to test certain things? Whatever the case may be, let me know down below. So first up, we want to get that SD card set up, like I said. We're going to go ahead and go to this GitHub page. I'll put a link in the description. I'm going to make all this easy for you. I remember when I first started with MiSTer, you had to use like the MiSTer SD card setup tool and all that stuff. And we don't have to do that anymore. If you don't want to, you can, but this is just an easier way, in my opinion. The MiSTer Fusion Universal installation image. So this is an image that you're going to burn to your SD card. You're going to need to download the image, but you're also going to need a program to flash that image to your SD card. So Apple Pi Baker, Balena Etcher, Win32 Disk Imager, various other options out there. I'm using Win32 Disk Imager. If you're a person who's burned Raspberry Pi images, this is all going to be very, familiar to you. So essentially all we need to do is go to the download page, download the latest version of MiSTer Fusion, version 2.2. I already have this downloaded, but you would just click it. It's going to be a zip file. Now, before we jump into that, one other thing I'm going to tell you to download is going to be this update all script. This is going to be an awesome thing that's going to get you ready and rocking. So navigate here, links down below, click on download, download zip. It'll give you the master update all MiSTer master. I've already downloaded it. So we got that going. Now down here on my desktop, let me see, what do we got here? We got the Win32 Disk Imager, we have the Update All script, and MiSTer Fusion. First up, let's get the MiSTer Fusion unzipped. Boom. We now have that, and in here is simply going to be the image, as you see there. Let's go ahead and get the Update All script unzipped as well. So here we go. That's going to be Update All, and within that folder, the only thing we need is this Update All script. We'll come back to that though. We'll circle back on that one. So what we're going to do is open up Win32 Disk Imager. Our device on this side, you need to make sure you're selecting the actual SD card, micro SD card that you want to flash. This letter E right here I'm pretty damn sure that's not what I want to flash. That's going to be a local disk. That's going to be a hard drive on my PC. No, I don't want to flash that. What I want to flash is my micro SD card, which should be on letter F. Yeah, SD card F. So I confirmed it. I'm good. I ain't tripping. This you need to pay very close attention to because you can wreck your hard drive and write over everything. So I selected the correct drive, which is my SD card. I'm gonna click the little folder over here and I got to select the image. So MiSTer Fusion, there we go. And then you see the image is selected. Our device is correct. All we're gonna do is click write. Writing to a physical device can corrupt this device. Are you sure? Yes. But like I said, double check the device that you're on the right one. This is a very small image, so it only takes a few seconds. There we go. So now the write is successful. It may pop all this up. You need to format. Just cancel out of that shit. Don't even mess with it. So don't worry about that. Get out of this, eject your micro SD card, pop it into your MiSTer, and then boot up your MiSTer. I'll catch you back on that screen 1 second. Okay, so once you powered on your MiSTer with your micro SD card plugged in that you just burned MiSTer Fusion to, you'll see this screen. It usually only takes about a minute, and once it's done, it will reboot into the system, and it'll show you there's no files, there's nothing here. So we need to change that. So let's go ahead and remove that micro SD card, plug it back into our PC, and get that update all script thrown on there. So let's do it. So once you plug in your micro SD card into your PC via SD card reader, whatever you got, you'll probably see a screen like this that says you need to format that drive. Go ahead and cancel out of that. Do not format anything. It's just trying to access that partition that's not accessible. So let's not mess with that. Just, it's not accessible. Click OK. So my PC, it was trying to access this drive down here, the SD card on drive G, but we want to access the MiSTer data partition, which on my PC is drive F. So within this, as you see, we now have some files that weren't there originally that we got from running MiSTer Fusion. We have the menu, the MiSTer files, all that good stuff, but really not much else is here. Now, within the scripts folder, we'll have the update script and the Wi-Fi script. So the update script is fine to update the main files and whatnot, but we want to go like way beyond that. So that's where that update all came into play. So open that up, get your update all script, and just drag it over to that scripts folder on your SD card. There you go, just took a second. Now it's in our script folder, so we're done on this part. Let's go ahead and take that SD card out, put it back into our MiSTer, and power it on. Okay, so we have our MiSTer powered back up, and as you see, it still says no files. Now, I guess it's better late than never to mention for this, we're gonna need a couple things to get this going. First, you do need a keyboard. I use a wireless keyboard. It comes in handy. I use it on the Raspberry Pi, my PC, MiSTer. It's a very versatile little keyboard, wireless keyboard. I'll put a link down below. Then you're also gonna need to be able to go online. So you're gonna need to use an Ethernet cable to go hardwired or go through Wi-Fi. I'll put some resources down below for what's recommended as far as Wi-Fi dongles that work because it's not built in, but I am hardwired, so I am connected, have my keyboard plugged in. What I'm gonna do is press F12. So F12 is gonna bring up this screen here. I'm gonna go down the scripts, hit enter, and mind you, I haven't set up my keyboard or anything. Everything just works. I didn't have to set this up. I plugged it in and I'm going. So now on this screen, it's just saying this is dangerous. Well, we live on the edge of danger, so we ain't worried about it. We're gonna continue, yes. So now we have whatever scripts were available for us. We just added that update all. I'm gonna go ahead and click enter on that. And then on this screen, it is gonna bring up some things. I'm gonna press up because I do wanna go into the settings screen. So you only have a few seconds to do that. If you press up, this is very important right here. You can kind of manipulate things, change things to make sure that you're not running through processes you don't want to run through. So you'll have the main updater here. If you hit enter on it, you can disable it and then it won't run it. We're going to run it this time. And then you can, official cores, DB9, snack fork. You could select, whatever you want there. I just leave it to official cores. we really don't need to mess with much here. We can go into this even further in another video, but I'm just going to mention a few that, I think is important here. So the Jotego updater, this is going to be for the cores that he has made for CPS, 2, 1.5, and a bunch of other arcade stuff. Now, on this one, what I like to do is make sure that the install beta cores is enabled. So that is marked as true. So that's all I want to do there. I want to make sure I get the beta cores for that arcade stuff. Unofficial updater, that will get you some unofficial cores. I'm going to leave that disabled for now. The low latency API updater, I'm just going to leave that disabled. These are all things we can go into further later. If you want to get your BIOS files, yeah, leave that enabled. MAME getter and HB MAME getter. This is a little, you see what it says there. It gets those ROMs for you for the arcade stuff. So let's not trip there. Arcade organizer, it will create like subfolders for easy navigation by like core and a few other things alphabetical. I leave that enabled for my first run through, and that's it. If you want to save the settings that you put here, you would press enter on save. Otherwise, if you just want to run it this way and leave it as default for next time, just select exit and run update all. It'll tell you like, hey, you really want to run it without saving? Yeah, I'm fine with that. Now, this may take a little while. Your first run through, especially because it's just doing everything like from the get-go. There's nothing that it's just going to look at and be like, oh, we don't need to update that. We don't need to receive that. It's going to receive everything that it possibly can. So I'm going to let this run through. This literally could take, maybe 10 to 30 minutes, just depending. I mean, I think that I've ran this a few times and it's taken me about 15 minutes from a fresh install. I don't know, just going to really depend on you, your speed, that kind of thing as far as your internet goes. But I'm going to let this run through and then we'll come back and take a look at what happened. Okay, so there we go. That update all script took a while. I mean, it grabbed all of our cores, everything ready to rock with this thing, including going like quite a few steps further with the arcade stuff. Took a little bit over 30 minutes. That was the first fresh install of everything, so that's fine. Anytime you run it again after that, it shouldn't take anywhere near that long. And like I said earlier, you can disable certain things if you need to. Like I would disable the MAME getter, because once you get it once, you're pretty much good for a while, and then you don't have to bother checking any of that stuff. But as you remember earlier, this screen did say, hey, no files. Now we got some directories. So we do have like our consoles with everything listed here. Essentially, these are all the systems, like you're booting up the system, right? So we have a bunch of stuff there. And then, WonderSwan's one of the newest ones as well. That's pretty cool. And then we do have computer. So a bunch of computer systems. And then we do have arcade. Immediately, we could boot some of this stuff up. So I'm not going to scroll through everything here. There's a lot of arcade stuff here. But if you remember, during that update all, we did get the organizer script to run. So that organized this stuff as if it was almost like an EverDrive, like the same style here. So everything's alphabetical. I'm going to go ahead and boot something up real quick. Street Fighter Zero. Let's see if that works. I haven't added anything to this SD card. The only thing I added to it was earlier when you saw the update all script. That's the only thing I put on here. And as you see, this is booting up. Some of these CPS cores, like CPS2 and whatnot, are in beta right now. So if you run all this and you boot up a CPS2 game, you may get like a little warning thing that says it's in beta. And if you want to be part of the beta, to go to Jotego's Patreon page. So I'll put a link to that. He does a lot of awesome work. I mean, thanks to him, we got a lot of stuff like this on MiSTer. So pretty cool. He puts these things into beta for his patrons to test. And then eventually they do go public. So, I mean, one way or another, you eventually get access to this stuff. But that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and power off the MiSTer. I want to plug the SD card back into the PC before we wrap this up and show you the folder structure and talk about, possible videos that we could do in the future to go even further with this. All right, so here is our SD card. Remember, go into MiSTer data and ignore all the formatting stuff that may pop up. As you see, we have a bunch more folders that we didn't have earlier. Notably, we have the arcade stuff all listed there, computer, all the RBF files there, console, a bunch of consoles here. There are other consoles you can download as well. These are just the basic ones that are on the official updater. So pretty cool stuff. Most of this stuff's what you want anyway. Neo Geo, Mega CD, TurboGrafx, Super Nintendo, NES, Atari, so on and so forth, right? And then we do have a bunch of other stuff. Our BIOS files, there should be BIOSes in here because that update all took care of all that stuff. We do have Neo Geo there. We have our Unibios in there. All that stuff is ready to go in that folder. We also downloaded cheats for all these systems as well. That's kind of cool. And a bunch of other stuff we don't need to mess with. Games is going to be the important one for you. This is where you're going to put all your games. Now, remember, we already booted an arcade game. So MAME, that MAME getter and HB MAME getter grabbed all this stuff for us. We don't have to worry about it. As you see, where's HB MAME? All that is listed. Now, as far as anything else goes, say Super Nintendo. Where's Super Nintendo? Right here. We don't have any files here. So essentially, if you wanted to run Super Nintendo, you would have to add your ROMs. And this is where you would put them. Just drop them in. You could drop in EverDrive packs if you want. Just however you want to put them, you just put them all in the folder. You can organize them. However you want to do it is going to be fine. That's the only step you're going to have to do, and that's pretty simple. These are the folders. You're just going to drop your games into each one. Atari Lynx is pretty cool. We just got Atari Lynx on here as well. But there you go. Let me know in the comments down below if there's anything else you would like me to run through as far as MiSTer goes. I just wanted to do this updated video on getting set up because it's pretty damn easy now. I mean, it was always kind of easy, but this just makes it even easier with, you know, the MiSTer Fusion and the update all script. I mean, we're pretty much good to go. We just got to drop some ROMs on some of these consoles, and that's it. So thanks for watching. Really do appreciate you guys. And with that said, I will catch y'all next time. Peace out. Bye-bye, and boom. Bye.